Your brain is keeping you stuck in a loop of fear, doubt, and overthinking without you even realizing it. About 70% of your life is being controlled by a neural network designed to keep you on autopilot. It makes you hesitate. It makes you feel like you're not enough. So how do we break out of that mode and show up like the main character in our own lives? And it all starts with taking back control of your life. So how do you take back control of your life? What we first have to understand is some basic neuroscience. There's two parts of our brain that we're going to pay attention to today: the default mode network and the prefrontal cortex. These networks are interconnected, but they serve opposing roles. So when one of the networks is activated, the other one is quieted. The default mode network is in charge of controlling all of your autopilot, subconscious programming and behavior. It is where your identity and your ego is stored, and it's where your internal chatter sits. So all of your beliefs, they sit in this network. What you could think of this network is it's the MPC part of the brain. The reason that is because this network is just an autopilot. This network is activated when you're not in periods of intense, deliberate focus or action. So most of your life is not intense, focused action. You could just think about what you do during the day. Like, for example, you wake up at the same time, you think about the day, you're thinking about the past, and you're thinking about the future. You're not really centered in the now. When you're driving to work or driving to school, or when you're walking or cooking, you're in a state of just autopilot. It's just what you're used to. It's just your habits. When you're scrolling on your phone or you're watching a movie, you're not needing to really focus that much. It's a state of just you're used to doing it. Your prefrontal cortex, on the other hand, is in charge of the opposite. So it controls your conscious decision making. It controls your emotional regulation, so your conscious feelings. And it is known as the future planning center of the brain. So this prefrontal cortex, it's activated in states of flow. It's activated in states where you need heavy problem solving, and is also activated when you're taking focused and deliberate action. So think about, for example, like a UFC fighter. When they're in the octagon, they're not going to be focused on what they're having for dinner later that night. They're in a state of flow, and they need to solve a problem in front of them, obviously their opponent. So they're in a state where they're in action and they need all of their mental resources in the now. So we could think about the prefrontal cortex as the quote unquote main character of the brain. So we spend in our lives, on average, we spend about 70% of our day in this default mode network. And then the other percentage we spend in the prefrontal cortex network. Nowadays, because everyone's so addicted to their phones and their scrolling, there's probably people that spend 100% of their time in the default mode network. They're just complete NPCs. But what we have to understand is, why do we actually want to increase the amount of time that we spend in the prefrontal cortex? So the reason we want to do that is because centered in the default mode network is all of our past programming. It's all of our past limiting beliefs. It's where our ego lies, and it's where our negative self-talk lives and breathes. So when we start shifting more of our time into this prefrontal cortex network, we're more consciously aware of what we're doing. We're more present on what we're doing, and we're in more control because we're not stuck in our subconscious autopilot programming, we're actually in control of what we want to do. When the prefrontal cortex is activated, the default mode network is quieted. So when the prefrontal cortex is activated, you see things like increased presence. You see things like increased awareness, and your confidence goes up because all of this internal chatter and limiting beliefs is going down. So when you're in a state where the prefrontal cortex is activated, you're in a state where you aren't being held back by past programming, and you're allowed to start fresh. You're allowed to start new programming that actually helps you out, that actually serves you. So the more time we spend in this prefrontal cortex, the more that we diminish the old programming and create the new. We take back our control through conscious behavior. So how do we increase the time that we spend in this system, in a system where you're the main character and you're consciously aware of what you're doing, and you're not stuck on past programming that doesn't serve you, that keeps you on those bad habits, that talks down to you, that doesn't get you the results that you want in life. And the best way that you could do this is through meditation. Meditation offers us an opportunity to forget about the past and not worry about the future and focus on the now, because we only have the now. Everyone knows that. You can't live in the future and you can't live in the past. We only have what we could do now. And the change that we make in our lives can only be done now. We can't change the future and we can't change the past. We could change the now. Through meditation, we get a superior sense of awareness on what we're actually doing. We go about our days in this default mode network and we're not really conscious of what we're doing. You go on your phone and you're scrolling on your phone and 3 hours go by, and then you're consciously aware for a couple seconds, like, oh shit, I've been scrolling Instagram for 3 hours. When you learn how to meditate and you improve your meditation, you start to turn the tides and you start to shift more of your focus and more of your time into the prefrontal cortex. And the reason that this is important is because we're going to be more aware of what we're actually doing in our day-to-day lives. A lot of the bad habits that we have that make us who we are today, they're done subconsciously. Those chips that you eat, that you're not really consciously aware of it. You're kind of that's just what you're used to. You're used to scrolling for hours and hours. But when we start meditating, we fix our minds and we're more aware of the consequences of our actions. And when we're more aware of the consequences, we start to do them less and less, and we start to improve. So meditation offers us an opportunity to completely flip the script. Meditation allows us to clear old programming and start reprogramming the new. And it allows us to take back control of our lives. So if you need more help with eliminating your overthinking and eliminating your fear, and you need help with taking more confident action, I could help you with that. Check the link in the description. Anyways, subscribe, like, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.